.35 on Hot Talk 99.5. Of course, the CCU fight song going off in the background here. And Dr. Benson, if you're not used to that song yet, hopefully you will be soon, because you're going to be hearing it a lot over the next however many years.
They sent me the sheet music the other day, and I'm learning on the piano, so I hope to play it all the time.
You're learning it on the piano?
Yes, sir.
Oh, but you're a talented individual, because I know that you're like a distance runner, and you and Leanne have some that in common. You can talk about marathoning here, but when we were talking. But Dr. Michael Benson, brand new president of Coastal Carolina University, is joining us here today. We got a chance to talk to you for a few minutes when you were first introduced, when we got a chance to interview you over by the baseball stadium a few months back. But we appreciate you coming in here. Today's the first day of the brand new semester, and this is your first semester as the new president. So, well, congratulations.
Well, thank you. We're delighted to be here. I just came back from Kentucky yesterday. I went home to see my wife and kids during the long weekend. My 8th grade son had an 8th grade night at basketball for his middle school. So they're still in Kentucky. We'll stay through the school year. So I'm here and getting acclimated. I've been coming back and forth. You and I met back in October, but have come back several times since being named first part of October, and really excited for the opportunity, really grateful for this chance, and so much runway ahead of us. We're very, very excited.
Now, obviously getting a brand new job at a university is a great challenge, but doing it in the middle of a pandemic is a huge challenge. We got numbers that came out a few months ago that it wasn't quite as bad as we thought it might be economically, or as far as the number of students that were enrolled. So, I mean, is that kind of like a little bit of a positive outlook here going into this new semester and a new year?
Well, a couple of things. First, I want to commend everybody. It's been kind of part of our frontline COVID response team. Carissa, who is one of our really valued employees, like all of our employees, but she's just done an unbelievable job in keeping the campus safe and healthy. When I was interviewing for the position, preparing back in the summer, late summer, early fall, I used to watch the Coastal Comeback Plan, those videos that are done, really well done by Richard and the whole team here. And it's been a challenge. It's not that the challenges are unique to our campus. Everybody's facing them. But I really commend Coastal for being as aggressive as they have been in terms of the communications plan. The testing that we're doing now as students come back today for the first day of class. But also, the decrease in our enrollment wasn't quite as bad as we thought it'd be. So we planned for the worst and hope for the best, and that's exactly what happened. So that said, we're excited for the fall. Our numbers look strong, and we'll continue to monitor those applications and, more importantly, the acceptances and the enrollments.
What are you doing? And I know that you're just getting your feet wet in the job right here, but you've been working along with people over the last couple of months since you accepted the position. What can Coastal do to try to mitigate any kind of drop off going into, like you said, the fall coming up? The spring is already here, but this coming fall, to make sure that our enrollment goes back up or at least stays the same.
Well, one thing we're really going to try and focus on is South Carolina. Our student body is about half and half, out of state, half in state. We really want to become the school of choice for South Carolinians. There are a lot of great choices in South Carolina, whether it's the state institutions or private schools. And we want students, those juniors and seniors in high school now, to start thinking about Coastal as a school of choice. So you're going to see a really aggressive, just like it has been, but even more aggressive outreach to the high schools. I'm going to pay a lot of attention to Horry County to make sure our feeder schools know how much we value those students. We want them to come. I get it. I know some students want to go away for college, but why not take a few years and come try Coastal out and save some money and really enjoy a top-flight educational experience. So you'll see the outreach. I'll get on the phone like a lot of other administrators and start calling those students that might be on the fence come the summer months and try our best to put on the full court press and get them to come to Coastal.
Well, Doctor, obviously people look towards athletics as a reason for why they may choose one college over another, and CCU has that covered right now. For the longest time, especially before COVID, the focus was on expanding the School of Education. What type of majors, or what do you see for the future to attract these juniors and seniors to CCU versus what they could get offered at another state college?
Well, very good question. I believe that the institutions, particularly public institutions in the 21st century, will be successful if they can carve out a unique niche for themselves. So what programs do we offer that maybe other schools may not offer, or what are we doing particularly well in comparison to those other schools? So take a look at some of our science programs, some of the best around with beautiful facilities. Our College of Education that trains a lot of those teachers that you're talking about. Our marine biology program, one of the few in the region, and we're particularly suited for that given our geography and topography. So continue to focus on those programs that will be that unique hook to get students to come to Coastal. I've found, too, the students I've spoken with, when they come on campus and they see the facilities and they meet the people, they're sold. The campus, in a lot of ways, sells itself. And so as things, I hope, continue to get better, we all hope, with COVID and those campus tours will pick up. We're still doing them. We've limited the size, and I went out a couple of days ago and out in front of the Singleton building and met some parents, a couple of families from Pennsylvania and 2 from South Carolina. But I hope that they'll continue to come to campus, because when they set foot on campus, chances are they're gonna enroll.
That's actually, I mean, if you're out for just like a regular tour and you're like, oh, by the way, here's the president of the university, that has to kind of freak them out a little bit, I imagine.
Well, I told this group, I said, hey, we're all starting together. So it was. I really enjoy that. That's the highlight of my day, is getting to meet students and talk to them about their goals. I mean, we're here to help them, and at day's end, what we can do to put them in a position to be successful. That's what it's all about.
Dr. Michael Benson, the brand new president, Coastal Carolina University, on today, the first day of the semester, the spring semester at CCU. Yeah, Leanne brought up sports just a minute ago, and obviously we've gotten a lot of attention nationally because of what's gone on with the football program this year. You got some national press by sending out a letter to the people in charge of the playoff system saying that you didn't think it was quite fair. What kind of response did you get to that, and what drove you to go ahead and write that before you were actually officially even in the position?
Well, we were actually down. When I say we, my family and I were here, and it was that last weekend before Christmas. We had come for the Sun Belt Championship game, and of course that got called off.
Yeah.
And then we went to the Myrtle Beach Bowl. So everything was leading up to that Sunday selection show, if you'll remember, on ESPN, when the big reveal was going to happen, and they were going to talk about who was going to go play where. And I was so frustrated. And when I say I don't mean to in any way sound like I'm speaking on behalf of every G5 program out there or fan, but it was 2 hours of talk about all the schools that we're all familiar with. And if there was ever a year where a G5, I believe, really deserved more consideration, it was this year. Cincinnati got in that New Year's Six spot, and finally, 2.5 hours into the program, they announced that we were going to our bowl game, which was a great experience and first time ever. But I decided after that, I thought, you know what, I've thought about this for a while. I'm going to sit down and write some thoughts down. I had no idea kind of the sort of reaction it would spark. I got a lot of reaction back from fans at other institutions in the group of 5 who said, thank you for speaking up on our behalf. I don't know if it will make any sort of a difference. I certainly felt better about having said it. But it's the only sport, quite frankly, in Division I that doesn't have a true national champion in the sense that everybody has a chance at it. Football, for some reason, we know why, but precludes some teams from having that chance at playing for a national championship. I don't think that's right. It's not fair.
When you had your interview, when you were doing your interview process to get in as the new president of CCU, obviously they were asking you what you want to accomplish if you get this position. What did you tell them? What do you want to accomplish in your time here?
Well, this is my almost 20th year of being a president at different institutions. Continually made my way east, and short of moving into the Atlantic Ocean, we're going to stop right here. We're very excited about this opportunity, a beautiful part of the country, a school with so much upside. I told them the first 100 days is really important to help set the tone, to be visible, to be out talking to people. I don't come in here with all the answers, that's for sure. I fancy myself as a pretty good listener, but also someone who's ready to take some bold steps in concert with our board, with our campus community. We're going to launch a comprehensive campaign, fundraising campaign. We're also going to do a strategic plan that needs to be updated. And I believe that there's so much potential for Coastal. It has to be a concerted effort on the part of everybody to be part of that process. So I don't in any way want kind of decisions to emanate out of the Singleton building without any sort of input. So I really want to be out and about, part of the community. When my family gets here, they'll be delighted to meet my much better half. But it's an exciting time to be a Chanticleer, that's for sure.
That was a good answer about your wife. So you mentioned how long you've been a leader in higher education. And as I'm sitting here next to you, you're very young to have had such an extensive resume. But I saw that you were the youngest president ever of a higher education school in Utah when you were hired way back then. And you said you have an eighth grader. I know a couple of years back you were looking at maybe going to the College of Charleston. What was it about South Carolina and knowing that you have a family to raise that attracted you to our area?
Well, I have 5 children. 2 are in college. 2 attend Brigham Young out in Utah. And then our 3 little ones, the 3 T's is what we call them, Truman, Tatum, and Talmadge, 13, 12, and 10, respectively. And they could not be more excited to be moving to South Carolina. We've been coming here for several years. My wife had never lived on this side of the Mississippi River until we moved to Kentucky 7 years ago, and now you won't get her out of the South. Absolutely loves it. Her family lived in San Antonio for some time, but this is a place that we've always loved coming to, and then to have the chance to come to Coastal was really a unique opportunity. It's true I've been in higher ed for my entire career, 25, 26-plus years. And I was given the chance by Bernie Matchin at Utah, who I worked for him as the president. He left and became the president of the University of Florida. And I really believed then, I learned an important lesson that it falls to us to train up that next generation of higher education leaders, because a lot of presidents are getting older. I'm 55. I hope this might be my last stop, and we can retire here. But it really falls to us, the current presidents, to train up the next generation of leaders, and I was given a chance at a young age, and I want to do the same thing for other people.
You mentioned that you have a son named Truman, and I read that in your office you have a portrait of President Truman. So it seems like more than an administrator, you really do get the leadership role of being a president. Why Truman, though?
Well, I wrote my doctoral dissertation on Harry Truman and the recognition of the State of Israel. I lived in the Middle East for about a year and a half. And came to appreciate that here was a president, the only one of the 20th century, who did not have a college education. He had failed at being a haberdasher, a men's clothing salesman. He failed at the cattle business, the oil business. He kind of fell into politics. And next thing you know, he's named appointed vice president by Franklin Roosevelt, and is vice president for 86 days when he happens into the presidency. And a lot of people are talking about the outgoing president and his approval rating. I don't know if people know. I hope the listeners will learn that when he left office in 1952, Truman was at 23% approval rating, which at the time, the Gallup poll was the lowest in history. And that's 4 or 5 points lower than Nixon when he resigned. So time has gone by, and people have realized that he made some incredibly difficult decisions. Dropping the atomic bomb, desegregating the military, the establishment of the United Nations, establishment of NATO, the Berlin airlift, the recognition of the State of Israel, firing MacArthur, the Korean War. You can go through the list. And time has been very good to Truman. And it showed that he made really unpopular decisions, but they've stood the test of time. And, yes, he is my hero. So that's why I have a son named Truman Taft Benson. I say it's the best of both parties with that name.
And just as a quick aside, I guess the BYU game versus Coastal Carolina, that was kind of a. When that happened, you had to just be like, oh my gosh, if you've got kids at BYU.
I had a friend said this is the Benson Bowl. I said no, not really. It's we were out in Utah for Thanksgiving to be with my mother-in-law, who's by herself, and all this was happening. So I had a local paper contact me and say asked me if I would do an article and who I was cheering for. And I said, there's no question whom I'm cheering for. We're Chanticleers through and through. And what a game. People say it was the best game of the season, and the atmosphere was really electric.
He also went to Notre Dame, the School of Business, so you got to be torn when it's football season. But you're still a student yourself. You're still in school, is that right?
I am. I'm 2 classes away from finishing a master's degree at Johns Hopkins. I just finished a book on the first president of Hopkins, a guy named Daniel Coit Gilman, and that'll come out in the falls. And I believe all of us, regardless of where we are, kind of on that historical arc of life, we can learn. And I love being a student. I love teaching, but I love learning about new things. Truman said there's nothing new in the world except the history you do not know. and I've tried to use that as kind of a marker for my own personal and professional life and knowledge.
Getting back to sports for just 1 second, Dr. Michael Benson, Coastal Carolina University, joining us here today, the first day of the new semester. And we've only got about a minute or so left, but, obviously, Coach Jamie Chadwell and his crew go out there, and Coach Ellis go out there, and they recruit people to come in to be a part of their squads, football, basketball, whatever. If you had an opportunity to go out as president of the university to recruit students out there, I mean, what would you tell them is like the number one reason that you have to come to Coastal Carolina?
Well, I'd say, look, be part of a winning team just like our athletic teams. But even more importantly, we have a system, I would call it an ecosystem of support around students. I tell students, look, you're going to have to do the work. You're going to take the test. You write the papers. But we're going to do everything possible to put you in a position to be successful. And that's what it's about. My grandfather was the oldest of 11 children in his family, the first to go to college. And it changed his life, but it changed everybody else who followed him. And when 35% of our students at Coastal are first generation, that is a really telling statistic for me, because it's going to change their life, but it's going to change everybody they associate with. And so whatever we can do to help those students be successful, regardless of what they choose to study. And I say that the ultimate kind of measurement of an institution is in the presence of good options, a student chooses you. So what is it about your place that distinguishes you from everybody else? And I think they come to Coastal, they'll sense that it's a community, it's a family, and we're here to help them succeed.
All right, Dr. Michael Benson, Coastal Carolina University. Again, congratulations on the new position, and hopefully this will start a tradition. Dr. DeCenzo would usually drop in here the first day of the new semester, spring and fall, so hopefully we can do that again and kind of get like a preview of what's going on and the mindset of the university.
Well, I do want a pair of teal headphones like you have, so I would love to come back, and I thank you very much for the chance, and go Chants.
Absolutely. Dr. Michael Benson from Coastal Carolina University, thank you so much. Appreciate you being here, and again, congratulations on the new position. Coming up in just a second, we got more stuff coming your way news-wise.